What's going on, Podcast Nation? Your host, Nick Overby here of the New Agent Podcast. So, guys, tonight on the Agent Spotlight series, I said this in my posts and whatnot, and, I think it's cool because each week has gotten more interesting for me, and it's because of the people on it. There's a very strong tie, right? We've been together for almost a year. So there's a lot of deep relationships. And I have the pleasure of having my senior leader, David Stoner, here. Here, hold on. That was really loud, actually. Sorry about that.
Pretty loud.
Yeah, that's better. So thank you for being here, David.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
I am fucking excited.
We talk all day, so this is good. Now we got it recorded.
Well, yeah, right. Well, how do you know that? I mean, I know something recording.
point.
Actually, it's funny you say that. The other day I was doing something in Perry's office, and that little lapel mic was sitting on my desk. I had no idea it was still Bluetooth to my phone, and that's funny because I was getting ready to record a video, and you were getting details from somebody about height, weight, date of birth. I could hear you.
Oh, boy.
So it's kind of funny.
So now you know how to sell. Great.
Oh, yeah. The secrets
out.
You don't sell anything. You just honestly, genuinely, you couldn't sell somebody something because it's not who you are. You're just genuinely a good human being, and people trust you. And then that's the whole root of sales. People buy from who they trust.
I like that. I'll take that one.
Very true. Very true. I'm going to help out real quick. Hold on.
I'll get closer.
There we go. No, it's okay. So first and foremost, let's talk about, which we do every episode, right? Who you are. Okay, so background, whatever you want to divulge, right? It's all up to you.
Okay.
Tell the world who David Stoner is.
Hey, all right. So my name's David Stoner, of course. Unfortunately, actually my last name. Thanks, Bryce. We'll go to the quick abbreviation. I've lived here most of my life in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I was born in Colorado. Family's military, moved back down here. And for most of my life, I have been a good friend of Perry Lunsford, the founder of the Lion's Den back here. That is the true reason why I'm here. I did not wake up one day and said, I am ready to change some lives and sell some insurance. I just happen to know one of the greatest men who ever lived, and he happens to be my friend, and he is allowing me to come on this journey.
Amen.
I am 44 years old. My entire adult life, 18 and up, I have owned a company of some sort or another. I got my first tax ID my senior year in high school and started selling aftermarket car parts with it.
Really?
So, out of the trunk of my car at high school, yeah.
No shit. Yeah. This is truly amazing about you, and this is God's honest truth. Every day, I'm pretty sure I learn something new about you.
I've tried to do every career there is out there that doesn't require a major medical degree.
Chandler Bing, have a good night, sir.
Bye, Chandler Bing.
Hey, by the way, you sound amazing, and we love you.
Thanks, we appreciate it.
This is the perks of having a live studio audience. Good night, Bryce.
Bye, Bryce.
So you've done every job under the sun, is that what you said?
Just about. I have tried to start anything and everything that sounded like it would be a fun journey to try to create a company so I wouldn't have to go work for somebody else. Yeah, anything.
So I know I've only known you for a little under a year. That is edified every day just by your actions, but I love hearing Perry say that, and it's never changed. Since I've been here day one, you are arguably the best entrepreneur he knows.
I appreciate when he says that. I think he also likes it because I segue in, are you sure? Because I feel like you're beating me now. And he's like, well, I am now. But all the way up until this point, I feel like, I was ahead of him. So.
How fucking cool is that, though, to be able to have that competitive relationship but camaraderie with somebody who you've known for 70% of your adult life.
It's true. And I don't know how much, I don't remember what Perry said about it, but Perry only associates with entrepreneurs. That's why the people in this room work for him.
Yep.
But there are probably, he can count on two hands the people in his past life growing up that he still interacts with, because he only talks to people who are self-starters. And so we have stayed in touch, seen each other multiple times a year up until now. Now we see each other every day. But there was never a year that we didn't at least have lunch together and play catch up, try to figure out how we get to work together one day and put our brain power together. And so this is what that is now. And I am really happy to be on the journey, get to start at day one, walked into this office when it had no furniture in it. Heck, I brought most of the fold-out tables from my own office.
Really?
So we could do that. Yeah, all the temporary tables came from my warehouse. So
it's so cool because for me to watch my dad grow up as an entrepreneur. I've mentioned that you remind me in a lot of ways. I think you're a very old soul, but you're self-taught genius in the sense, right? Like you to me fall into the category, and this is not a negative thing, where chaos and genius so intersect, which is a positive thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you know who you are. You're very self-aware.
Yeah.
And that's awesome, man.
Yeah,
It's,
you have to be a little bit of a sociopath to be a leader sometimes. So you have to be a little crazy, and you have to be willing to not put your foot on the brake when it makes sense to put your foot on the brake. You know, and that is, I guess, without my very first companies, I literally, my first physical company, I was on my way to college one day off to University of Texas at Arlington. I was in between. And I drove by a building, a garage that had a for lease sign. I pulled in, decided not to go to school that day, signed a lease at 21 years old, almost 21. I was 20. I signed a lease, and then I went home. I was like, I don't have any major tools. I don't have a lift. I don't know how I'm going to pull this off, but enough people knew about me from the car parts that I was bringing in that I figured I could make it work. And so I just maxed out every credit card that I got signed up for in college and built a company off of it.
It's funny. I think the term entrepreneur has been muddied. It's been tossed around so much over the past couple of years, and anybody with a cell phone now can basically be an entrepreneur, right? It takes somebody to be willing to risk everything, which it sounds like you have. I know you have, right?
Yeah.
You've literally thrown everything in the fire and then picked it back up, and it was like a phoenix. It was better,
Right.
Which is really cool. So I would like to hear how your entrepreneurial journey has been on your end and away from what we hear as in society. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'd like to hear from you.
Yeah, so with no real training, mind you, I was in college, so it's not like I learned these things by getting my degree first. But I just had this, from a young start. My mom and my dad. My dad would do startup things. He had a day job, but he would try to get into things because he wanted to be his own boss. And unfortunately for him, he was just looking at what other people were doing. So he was never going to be that trailblazer and get to be the one who gets it all because he was following other people's steps. And so he would drop in and out. But I watched him doing it nonetheless, and I was interested. And I loved the thrill of selling something to people. So in fourth grade, we went to Sam's Club, and I bought this thing of little plastic robots. I think it cost $32, and it had like 60 pieces in it. And I sold them for $2 a piece at school till the point I got in trouble, because people were foregoing eating their lunch to buy my robots they couldn't find anywhere else. And so, I liked the feeling of talking people into products, especially when it was something that they obviously were interested in. So for my journey, it was, I didn't even think about it. I just jumped in and I just made it work on the fly. Like, I built a showroom, figured out how to tell customers I existed, figured out how to customer service them, how to get a credit card machine, everything I just went and did because, number one, Google didn't exist yet. This is like 1997. Google was terrible, if it even existed at all. So this was all me just going into the yellow pages literally and figuring out and asking people questions. And at the tax ID office, the state comptroller's office, I asked the guy at the desk, like, how do I do this? How do I do this? He's like, I don't know. He's like, figure it out. So,
and you didn't have YouTube to look it up?
No, I didn't have
Nothing.
anything.
You couldn't do that. That's so crazy.
So I had my real tax ID, and I went over to Office Max, and I faxed it off to every California car parts company I found in the back of magazines, just try to become a dealer for anybody who'd listen to me. And so eventually I got enough of them that I could be, a company that bought it wholesale and sold for retail, and then got to charge people to put it in their cars.
Man, what I love, and I talk about this all the time, and this is kind of random, but those seeds you planted at 23, 24 by doing that, learning the hard way, really, just kind of sucking it up, taking shit in the trenches, I know now still affects you in a positive way because you're still a car fanatic. You still have these connections. So I love that that's the power of relationships and what sales can do for you.
And never burning bridges.
Yeah.
Never, ever.
I have to tell you this. There's you just know good energy. I know you know that. I have never once in my entire, almost 365 days of knowing you, outside of some of the early morning meetings, felt like you were going to actually be violent or kill somebody or like be crazy, like do something stupid, like do the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And I love that you are in this environment, and I love that it's been designed for people like you who are kind and good and know how to take care of people.
Yeah. Because if you don't, this is going to spit you up and chew you out like any company. But this one more than anything, because it requires licenses and it requires integrity and a moral code. And The people who don't do that are the ones that are quickly out. And I'm not talking about anybody here. I'm just talking in insurance in general. And that's what gives us such a hard time overcoming that. And thanks to Perry and the videos he makes and stuff, it disarms them more and brings them in and allows them to understand that they're seeing feedback where we're signing people up sometimes for free health insurance. There's no money to be made in that, but we're doing it sometimes more in a day than we are for the plans that we offer to people. And that is a great sense of feeling, knowing that you helped so many people today. Whether they bought your product or not does not matter. A family of 4 had no insurance. Somebody needed a surgery, and you just got them something. There's not a company I've ever been a part of or owned that left with that sense of feeling. And Perry told me this when I came on. He's like, you do pretty things. You fix up cars. You wrap cars. You have an arcade company. You build video games. You do fun things. This isn't fun. This is boring, generic, everything you think of with insurance. He's like, but we're trying to make it sexy. Insurance made sexy, like he says. But it's one of those things where this is the most rewarding job I've been a part of. This is a career that I can see I could be with I could be this till I hit retirement. And I usually with a company, I start it at zero. I do every aspect of it. I'm the CEO to the janitor. And then it gets up and it gets like maybe medium success, and I come back and reevaluate and like, how much more can I make this grow? If I don't see that I can really shoot it up any more than where I brought it without being just a slow climb, I'll sell the entire company, walk away, and start something else, and let somebody else build it.
I mean, that's the American dream. I mean, and what's crazy is that you have the wherewithal to do so. You talked about all the shit you've done. Okay, so nobody, and I say this on every show, ever expects to be selling insurance.
Exactly.
So how different has that been for you from an entrepreneurial standpoint, or just taking something else on like that?
A year ago, it was weird going to people. Now, it's not as weird for me because every few years it seems I change careers. So, like, nobody's really shocked when I go, hey, guess what I'm doing now? But, it was like, hey, guys, I'm not doing car stuff anymore. I'm done. I'm not doing arcade stuff really that much. The company's still there, just very slow. I'm not doing this or this. I'm doing health insurance. And how are you doing on insurance, by the way? Salesman Dave back. But so it was a 180 from anything that I would create. And I would have never woke up ever with or without Perry, without Perry, definitely like insurance. That's what I'm going to get into because I know it's lucrative. Obviously, it's also highly saturated, heavily regulated, and I am way late to the game. So there was just never a thought process that I would get in anything that's super mainstream. I'm looking for fringe companies. I'm looking for fringe ideas that might take off. We had Bitcoin mining machines almost 10 years ago when people said don't invest in those things. Social media groups, and so we were doing things ahead of time. This is just going to be something that's always here. Everyone needs this. It was either this or open a funeral home. So I just didn't know which one it was going to be.
I mean, though, that's not a bad idea because I always said that there was 2 things I was going to invest my money in long term. It'd be water and cemeteries. Because I mean, you got to have both, right?
Yes,
or
exactly.
Crematorium or whatever.
Yeah.
You need to introduce you to my friend Justin Kurtz. I grew up with him. He is one hell of a dude, but his dad owned a mortuary and actually was the founder of the Mortuary Museum of Texas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I might have been to that, possibly.
Well, it was in his house for a long time, and then he moved it to anyways, but it was weird. I remember growing up in I think it was like 7th grade when I met Justin. We would go into his house, and in this room, it was a real big house in this neighborhood called Spring Park, and he had this side room that was an office, but it had these tall 10-foot French doors. And they were maybe four what's it called, panes of glass wide, and you could see through, and it was 10-foot walls of embalming fluid,
Oh,
just
wow.
different it was so weird. It was so weird.
He had a different childhood than we did.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. He drove for a while until his dad retired. He was the guy who would go. Justin would drive the truck to pick up the bodies.
Yeah.
So at mortuaries, at the morgues, wherever.
yeah.
Oh God.
Oh, wow. What a job.
Hell no. Okay, so I want to dive into what everybody tunes into the show for some rhyme or reason. It's about the Den. Okay, we've talked a lot about Perry. We've talked a little bit about the culture, but this place has something different or means something different to everybody here. So for you, you don't have to sum up the Den, but what does the Den mean to you?
No, well, a year ago, the Den would have meant to me is getting to work with one of my oldest best friends and his wife, who's one of my closest friends now. Like, we get to spend more time together, but a chance to probably prove that we should work together. And if we did put our heads together, what amazing thing could we create?
This is y'all's first venture together, right?
This is our first
Okay,
venture.
okay.
He tried to get into Smoothie Kings with me, and I told him I care about you too much to let you lose your money like that.
I'm going to have to bleep that word out later. Smoothie King. Twice now. Beep.
I said nothing
That's
about
okay.
that.
I could just pixelate them out. That's
The
okay.
drink that we do not talk about.
Yeah.
But yes, this is the first time we're trying to do it. But now, what the Den means to me, as being an FTA, a field training agent, if we need to bring out the abbreviations, we've got 14 people on our team. Nick is, like I always say, is my right hand man. This guy is one of the next FTAs in this company, no doubt. And we say it all the time. But what it means now is giving this generation of new agents that is coming through here. Like Chandler, we said bye to. He's fresh right out of college, giving them an opportunity and giving them the tools to have a successful life and take care of themselves. Generational income changes, for these people. And to see them get successful, see them get their first policy through, taking care of people, that's what it's starting to mean to me now. At the beginning, it was, we've got to get this thing on. We've got to turn the lights on. We got to be able to pay the rent. Like, it was a different kind of thing. But now I see it as a giant family. And every day I wake up and I know that I'm going to get to be around my family. And it's just a really good feeling to know that we are creating good here. There is nothing negative that's being generated from this place. This is where we change people's lives in this office, and in turn, we change people's lives outside of it. So that's exactly what it feels like to me.
So true. Sorry. It does. And it's, when I came in here, I had not had a chance to meet Perry until the first day, which was a little unorthodox as far as our current current hiring process goes. But when I came in these doors, I knew there was something different from the first day when I met, kind of walked through with you guys, but I knew there was going to be something different when I met Perry, right? And I didn't buy the, I think what I got from a couple other people was the flashy, MLM bullshit. There was something genuine about Perry. And I didn't know, I never thought I would be here. I didn't know what the ratio to success to failure was. And when I started hearing that, that was a little scary. But I knew that I knew who I was. So it's been really cool to see what Perry's been able to do for other people that maybe not have not succeeded, which very few have not. But it's really cool to see how he impacts people. I've seen people, other organizations try to emulate this culture. And I love my friend Nick Gardner. He said one time to me, back when I first started, he goes, what's amazing to me, Nick, about what I see with the Den, and this is obviously from a very way outside perspective, is that Perry's a leader, and you see that just by the photos that he takes.
Yes.
Because he's always in the back.
Yes.
And I think that's a staple. I mean, that's a statement to who we are and what we do here. And you talked about what the Den is to you, and it's a family, right? And family goes through trials and tribulations. We all have shit to do, but I do feel the same way. I don't ever wake up in the morning like, fuck, I gotta go to work. And if it is, maybe because I had a couple drinks and
right. Well, let me tell you about him hiding in the back. People think I just don't like my picture taken. The thing about it is, with this company and with any other ones, is that this wasn't, of course, there's Perry there to be the face, but I never want to be the face of it. Like, this should be, to me, a faceless place full of tons of happy, thriving agents that are taking care of people. So I hide in the back to the point where I hide behind the taller people. And so it's just because I just don't see it like that in a way. And so I really just want it to be this conglomeration of a team. And so separating by individuals, for myself in leadership, I don't like it either. He shies away from it. Yes, he's loud and vocal when he needs to be, but he hangs back with a big smile on his face like a dad who has 50 children and is watching them all grow and be successful because of his idea and his energy and time he put into it years before we thought about this. Without any of that, reinventing the wheel that we have now, none of us would be as successful as we are.
That's damn straight, man. I honestly, just, if I look back at it and the negative stigma that I've always had with insurance, and it was just uneducated about it. It's really not a scary topic. It's just like anything else. But it's just wild to think that I've been here for as long as I have, and I've been mildly to reasonably successful. And I feel that I get to, and this is kind of a struggle for me, but I get to impact people on a daily basis, whether it's in this office, on the phone, via the internet. And sometimes, it's hard for me because you got to stay sales focused. You want to help people at times, which leads to long hours and sales fatigue. But I never really think about it too much when I'm here because I know that regardless of whatever happens, hey, have a good night, Ryan. Be safe. No matter what happens here, we get to do something better for somebody else each day.
Absolutely.
And it's fun to go home at night and then again I say this all the time. I don't wake up in the morning and feel like shit. I gotta go to work.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's cool to be here, man.
Mm-hmm. It definitely is. It definitely is. And I know you know this. I'll say it out loud. But I run the social media team for
Yes,
here.
sir.
I
Yeah.
run the Facebook team.
That
Is
is
what we
one.
call it.
You have that is a whole nother.
It's a
ballgame.
separate job.
Well, yeah, I'm sure when I was doing the podcast with Nick, I was on the Facebook team,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember we would try to record, and I could never ever do anything.
Bling, bling, bling.
Yeah, and I'm sure. And by the way, I forgot to say this. I mentioned this before. I probably am one of the first people to ever, besides James or your daughter, get Stoner off the phone for more than 30 minutes, and we're right at 20 minutes now, so I know it's pushing it.
Shakes a little bit, but I know nothing's majorly on fire this time of night, so we're okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, I wake up 5:30 in the morning,
Mhm.
and so I can allow everybody else to just take their time getting into work. But I answer our social media questions that happen over the previous 8 hours since we turned the lights off. And so I wake up in the morning hearing people, I've got this problem, I have this. So first thing I do, wake up, besides give myself just a few minutes to get my head ready, is that I'm immediately helping people.
Mhm.
Like while the lights are still down, I'm still in bed, getting ready, thinking about getting ready. Is I am tackling the people that day so we can set appointments to get them taken care of. So I feel like in a position that we spend our entire day in service. And
We really do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I have no complaints about it.
No,
Not
I
at all.
mean, yeah, look, sales, no complaints. Look, sales is stressful. Come on,
Mhm.
we get that. I sit next to you every day. We sometimes
We catch
yell
our
at each other.
breath.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I am thankful again. There may be a
Yeah.
few hours in that day where I'm like, I just need this to stop. But
But it's true though. I'll revert back to energy. You rarely ever see you not smiling,
Mhm.
and that's true. I mean, you're a very intense person. I know because you are very intelligent. You understand things quickly. I think I've heard people be like, "Oh, he just blows me off because he's on his phone." It's like, no, he hears you. He just processes it a lot quicker than most people do, so he gets it and he doesn't have to respond. Right?
Yeah.
He just gets or react. He gets to respond. But that's cool, man. I don't know. I'm sorry, I got off track there. But it's cool to be able to sit back and know that I'm getting my ass kicked every day, but going home and smiling. about it.
Mhm. Exactly.
And that's very rare.
Yeah.
I never would have thought that I could, and I've told people this. You talked about being here till you retire.
Mhm.
I will be here for at least 5 years. I will be associated with Perry and you for at
Mhm.
least 5 years as far as this company goes. That does not restrict anything else that spawns from it because
Exactly.
I know, based on conversations I've had, the intelligence level of a lot of people in here and who we are.
Mhm.
Where we are now is literally just the ground level.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that
Like
because we're
one-
setting
yeah.
some insane records for a small office.
Absolutely. And look, I mean, we always talk about this is a long game, right? I mean, you're from 18 to 44 now. You've never worked for anybody else but yourself, right? So
Mhm.
this is a long fucking game.
Yeah.
Right. I know people joke you're richer than Perry. You have amassed something for yourself that your daughter gets to be proud of, and that. What I also know is that not only are you going to leave a financial legacy, you're going to have a shit ton of people show up at your funeral.
Yeah, some good stories, I hope.
Yeah, I look forward to more of them. And
Yeah.
that's. But here's the crazy. I was telling Deskins this the other day. I know that regardless, and I say this because I believe that relationships are really the foundation of my success.
Mhm.
We're in 10 years, 15 years, when Flynn goes to graduate high school,
Mhm.
I'm going to guaranteed everyone in this fucking room right now
Yeah.
and everybody that's been on this podcast is going to get an invitation.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's cool because I can bring him in here and like I can tag your daughter in an Instagram post and
Mhm.
and it's kind of funny.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know, man. It's
It is. It's a very close one. And, every company I've ever started, I try to treat them like family. My arcade company I still have. I have one employee there still for 10 years. And
really.
yeah. She just found out this week I'm giving her half the company, but so she's gonna like me a little bit better. But this is taking off. Like there is across the point of no return. This is what I have to throw all my energy into, or I'm not giving you guys 100%. And so that's why I'm going to turn it over to her and let her be an entrepreneur. She's had 10 years to watch one. It's her
Yeah.
It's her turn to go.
And
She
you're
can't
still
figure it
gonna
out.
be
I
there to
can't
hold
help
her
her.
hand a little bit?
Yeah, but she can't figure it out. I can't help her. But she does every aspect of it except say I'm the owner, and now she can.
So okay, you are a big cog in the wheel of culture and how it's been designed here and how it's continued or I'm sorry, how it's been maintained.
Mhm.
So tell me, I asked Perry this too a little bit about when you guys were thinking about the physical layout, how you wanted this to go, with everything you knew. What was the idea for you? Like,
Well, more than anything, I just begged him not to make it like cubicles, and he knew
Yeah.
that. I mean, there was no
Never.
having to talk him out of that, but or talk him into that. But open spaces, allowing for easier communication, allowing for people to share ideas easier, not hold up in offices with doors shut. All that stuff, and I mean, he already had that down, so there wasn't a whole lot of direction we needed to change that on at all. I think this room is built exactly the way it needs to be built. We're growing exponentially some months we're not. Right now we're in a no growth, but we have plenty of agents that are getting
that's from
themselves
an
ready.
agent standpoint, not from a financial standpoint.
From an agent standpoint,
Yeah.
yes. We're
What's
just there's just not a lot of people running through the door starting their careers right now.
Okay. Hold on one second. This week, as of yesterday, Stoner's FTA team, and for Stoner, this is a milestone,
Mhm.
surpassed $1 million in issued AV or submitted AV
Issued AV. Yeah.
for 2021.
For 2021, we're halfway through.
Hell
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
That's okay. Don't
You're
worry
part
about
of, You're a part of that success.
Well, this is. I was so. I actually was thinking about this before, kind of going into the next segue. I remember when I came into this office. I am very I'm very approachable. I'll come up to you real quick. I have no problem talking to you. But there was a few people that when I did that, there was a wall there, and you were one of them.
Mhm.
Now I knew though that you were. This is a bad analogy, but I thought about this last night. You're like the big guy, like the biggest, baddest motherfucker in prison. That when you go to prison and you don't want to get your ass kicked, you just got to go hit somebody. You're gonna go hit somebody, and you're gonna hit the biggest dude, right, to prove yourself.
Mhm.
And so I remember sitting there and wondering, because you sat at the Facebook table and I sat over here with Jamie.
Mhm.
I was like, how am I going to be able to get into this motherfucker's head? And I don't remember what it was, but it was Fan Expo. It was Comic-Con. They
Uh-huh.
got it. And for those of you who don't know, Stoner is nerd level 55. And I have so much fucking respect for it because I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and I was kind of what they call the latchkey kid. Then my dad wasn't there, my mom worked a lot, so when I was at home and it's 15, 16, I was getting stoned and
Mhm.
watching with Last Starfighter.
Mhm.
I mean Beavis and Butthead, Ren and Stimpy, and
Mhm.
just on and
Best
then,
of the best.
yeah, right, and playing. I mean, I love the Zelda map at your house. Like,
Mhm.
there's the fucking DeLorean. But anyways, that to me, there was some when I saw that I was like, man, now it's just cool. Like I don't have to. Now he's not the biggest dude in the yard. He's we're on the same playing
Yeah,
field.
yeah.
And once I got past that, man, you honestly have helped me out. You are the most positive and honestly good person I have in my life, and it's
Thanks.
really cool to say that.
Appreciate you. Thanks.
It's also rare that I can say that about a few people. It would normally just be one or two, right?
Mhm.
There's a close circle of 5 or 7 people here to me that
Mhm.
edify what accountability and being a good human is
Right,
about.
right.
And I love the fact that you're in that circle.
Thanks, man. And I'm glad you got to be on my team for it. So, I don't remember how I was gifted you as my first person under my FTA ship, but it was fun when it was just the two of us for a little bit,
Yeah.
before we started really piling on the people. It was a lot easier to keep up with one, that's for sure. But
Yeah, you know what? But it has been a hell of a ride, and I think through personal and professional stuff, we've learned so much about the team, how everybody works,
oh, absolutely.
how you work, how I work, and you are a very observant person. As much as you might look detached, I know people. I know you observe very
Mhm.
well, and I respect that you handle yourself the way you do here, because it's for somebody in your position to treat people like you said, the CEO to the janitor. You treat people the same way regardless of the
Mhm.
fact, and that's something to be commended. And I really went off on a tangent there,
No,
but
that's
I
okay.
appreciate that.
That's my parents doing. That's both of my parents. Always teach, talking to the smallest person in the room like they're the biggest. Both of my parents were huge on that, and those are some highly respected human beings. So you won't find anyone who can say a harsh thing about them because they treat everybody that way. So that worked off onto me as well, and my sister. So that is one of the best things they ever taught me. Also being humble when you are doing well. Not running victory laps in front of the people who can't be doing that. You know? And so
You
it's
do
got to be
that very
subtle.
well here.
I try to be as subtle and quiet about it as possible.
Well, I mean, but it's a given that you're going to be top 3, top 5 every week, top 2. I mean, they're just I don't think I've been here 1 week where you really haven't been.
Second place is my favorite. You know,
Yeah.
I'll let a Lunsford be number one every week. It's all right.
I mean, that's a tough one to go against. You know, I've beat Perry once, and I think it was probably because he was had COVID. That's probably the only reason I beat him. And he probably still would issue more than me in that week. But you know, it's
Possibly.
It's
He still knows it better, but the difference between you and him is a year and a half, like
Yeah.
he'll always tell you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it's funny. We talked about the competitive mindset and sales, the stigma of insurance and all that kind of stuff, right? You know, just the bullshit that comes along with it. All the molds that are broken here. It's just. I know when Perry says a year and a half, or when he originally told me it was 2.5 years, that he's right. You know, and when he said, you know, the only difference is 2.5 years, and he didn't mean, you know, I was going to be a millionaire in 2 years, and that's still where things go. That's the trajectory can still be there, but it's not about that. It's what I've learned here is that I've grown as a person. I've lost a lot of hair,
Same.
and that inherently there are good fucking people, and excuse me. I see it every day here, you know, and it's cool to be a part of that and to be recognized by those good people as good people.
Yes, truly.
It really is.
And the thing with Perry is that we're going to root out anybody who's counter to that. Because we've seen when we had a couple of people who just weren't going to make it, you know, cut it, they brought the room down. And that energy is contagious. And so something Jamie and I talked about is that we have to be contagious with positivity. So her and I are really trying to do that in this room more than we ever have.
It's funny you say that. When I worked at a company called Active.com or the Active Network, I was in a sales leadership role with a young lady named Vanessa Zarate. She is arguably I've shown you pictures of her, the little Hispanic girl with tattoos. I love this woman. She and you get along very well. She instilled the same mindset that we have here. She was restricted because it was a big company, right? She didn't have the freedom to do that, but I remember hearing the same idealisms.
Yes.
So the same idealisms, right? The same want for a culture that's inclusive and helpful and not numbers driven, right? But because we're not numbers driven, we're results driven. By proxy, we will always produce well.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
I don't know, man. Anywho, so look, we're running short on time because at 33, we got 36 minutes in a minute. So I would honestly love to sit here and talk with you all night. However, we both have things to do.
Right.
So I always end the show with two things. The first thing is shameless promotion. So tell everybody how to get a hold of you, because some people might like you better than me, and that's okay.
I don't know how. I mean, you got a better voice for it than I do. So,
well, like you said, my friend, I have a really, really good face for radio.
You got a face for radio. I keep saying it. I feel like I might have a face for radio without the voice, but the places to find me if you decide you want to work with me. My website is very easy. It's davidstonerhealth.com. I'm very not creative in this one. davidstonerhealth.com. And then, of course, if you just want to go into the healthy insurance dude and just request me for an appointment, be my guest. It makes me look great. So that is the best ones. And you can just flash my phone number on at the end.
I will absolutely do
I've
that.
had the same number for 21 years. You guys can all have it. It doesn't bother me. So I turn it off every night.
And so just if you didn't hear David earlier, he does manage Perry's Facebook team. So if you do message the Facebook team, just say, hey, David, it's so-and-so. I heard you on the New Agent podcast. That's the best way to go.
And then I'll pretend, no, this is Perry. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm totally not David Stoner.
And here's the crazy thing is that you can, because I know this, you can emulate Perry's talk track, at least through a text.
Yes, it's a scary habit I've picked up. But yes, I sound like him all the time, and I use all of his catchphrases more than I want to because I have no choice. Luckily, I stopped using okie dokie from you, though. That was a hard one to break.
Oh, it's still, it's like the auto text on my phone.
Okie dokie forever.
Yeah. And so I'm going to shamelessly promote, please go and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment. If you hate me, you hate me. If you love me, you love me. I'll take it either way. I do want you guys to go check out Healthy Insurance Dude because, again, this is the house that Lunsford's built with Stoner as the foundation. I'll say that. No offense to Perry and Jamie. I think we all can agree that without Stoner, there would be no din, or it wouldn't be the same.
Be a very sad place.
It would be. It'd be really, really melancholy. But that's for another day. So you know, if you guys ever want to reach out, have any questions, let us know. We do sell health insurance, but we also do like to have fun, chill out. We talk about life bullshit. I don't want to hear you complain, but like David said, we're trying to spread positivity. So we are all about bringing it in.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for your time, my friend.
Definitely, sir.
It's always a
Thank
pleasure.
you, man. It was nice
Absolutely.
talking to you. And
Always
I
a
gotta
pleasure.
keep hitting that microphone.
God, I told you before we started, the one thing everybody does is
Bad.
That's all right,
this.
though.
Yes.
Have a good night, brother.
All right,
Enjoy
man.
yourself.
Thank you very much.
Later, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.